Even the slightest gesture with chopsticks in Japan can create tension at a meal, as it's associated with rituals for the deceased. Japan is governed not only by clear laws, but also by unspoken social rules that have existed for hundreds of years. There are things you can do wrong without receiving any ticket or fine, but the way people look at you will change immediately. In this video, we'll explore 15 things considered taboo in Japan, things most tourists only discover after they've already broken them. Number 1. A gesture considered a funeral. In Japan, there's a small act that many tourists do without a second thought, picking up a piece of food with their chopsticks and passing it directly from one's own to another's. In Western culture, this is considered thoughtful, but in Japan, that image evokes a completely different context, a funeral. The difference stems from a ritual practiced throughout Japan. After cremation, the family of the deceased participates in a ceremony called kotsuage. They use special chopsticks, often longer than usual, to pass the remaining bones from one person to another before placing them in an urn. This is a moment of absolute silence, signifying the final farewell between the living and the dead. According to Buddhist temple records and funeral guides in Japan, the kotsuage ritual is considered the most sacred part of the entire funeral ceremony, and the image of passing bones with chopsticks never appears outside of this context. Therefore, the act of passing food from chopsticks to chopsticks in daily life is seen as a direct repetition of rituals for the deceased. For the Japanese, the memory of chopsticks passing bones is not vaguely symbolic, but a personal experience that most people have witnessed at least once in their lives. Therefore, when this action occurs at the dinner table, the reaction is usually very quick. Many people will instinctively withdraw their hand, not out of dislike for the person opposite, but because of cultural instincts formed from childhood. Experts on Japanese social etiquette point out that the strongest taboos are often not written down because they are passed down through family and community experience, not through books or laws. In Japan, the boundary between the living and the dead still exists even in seemingly harmless gestures. Even though high-speed trains can travel hundreds of kilometers per hour and cities are equipped with advanced technology, a single misplaced pair of chopsticks can make the entire space feel heavy. And if you're unaware of this, you might think you're being polite, when in reality you've just stepped into one of the deepest taboos of Japanese culture. Number 2. A pill that violates Japanese law. One of the most dangerous traps for tourists isn't on the street, but right in their bags: medication. Many people traveling to Japan bring cold medicine, allergy medication, or painkillers they use daily in the US or Europe. In those countries, these medications are sold freely and rarely cause problems. But in Japan, some active ingredients are classified as controlled substances. Pseudoephedrine in nasal decongestants and codeine in cough medicine are considered ingredients that could be misused to produce stimulants. Therefore, Japan's pharmaceutical laws are designed with maximum preventative measures in mind. Bringing these medications into Japan without a valid permit will result in confiscation, and the person carrying them may be detained for questioning, or even imprisoned depending on the severity of the offense. According to regulations from Japan's Ministry of Health, Labor, and Welfare, many common Western medications are only permitted entry with a valid medical certificate, yakunshume, or a clearly stated prescription. Even legally prescribed medications from abroad may be refused entry if they exceed permitted quantities or contain restricted active ingredients. What makes this situation even more frightening is that most travelers are completely unaware. They have no intention of breaking the law. They only bring a few pills to prevent colds or headaches. But at Japanese customs, a familiar medical item can immediately be considered illegal. Many cases have been recorded where travelers have been detained for hours at the airport just to clarify the origin of medication in their luggage, even though the quantity is very small and there are no signs of trafficking. The Japanese legal system prioritizes eliminating risk from the outset, rather than considering individual circumstances. For foreigners, this is a major shock. A society renowned for its politeness and order can become very cold when the law is challenged. And sometimes, what gets you into trouble isn't your behavior, but a pill lying dormant in your bag, carrying the laws of another country into Japanese territory. Number 3. Even looking is considered harassment. In Japan, women are protected not only from the hands of strangers, they are also protected from your gaze. On Tokyo trains, staring at a woman can be enough for station staff to approach. No touching, no talking. Just a look that feels threatening can lead to being asked to stop and deal with the police. Japan considers staring a form of invasion of personal space. In a densely populated society where millions of people stand close together every day, mental distance is seen as the last line of defense. According to the public conduct guidelines of Tokyo's railway operators, gaze harassment, intentional staring, is categorized alongside non-contact harassment and can be reported on the spot. This explains why many incidents are formally handled without physical contact. This approach also extends to technology. Japan is one of the very few countries that mandates all domestically sold phones and cameras to make a sound when taking pictures. There is no legal option to turn it off, even in silent mode. This regulation was implemented after a surge in cases of peeping under skirts on trains, particularly during rush hour in Tokyo and Osaka. Instead of relying solely on criminal penalties, the government opted for a technical solution to make peeping almost impossible to conceal in quiet spaces. For Westerners, looking at someone for a few seconds or quickly taking a picture in public is commonplace, but in Japan, both can be interpreted as crossing a line, a lingering glance, a small click. Both are enough to break the silence that is considered the foundation of social order. That's why on Japanese trains, most people look down at their phones or close their eyes. Not because they are cold or distant, but because here, respect begins with not looking. And in Japanese society, even glances and clicking sounds are controlled as part of the overall order. Number 4. The invisible taboo in the train station. If you walk into a Japanese train station and accidentally veer into the wrong lane, you won't hear any shouting or warnings, but within seconds, you'll feel the change. The flow of people around you splits, the rhythm of movement is disrupted, and disapproving glances begin to appear. You've just violated a rule that everyone here follows almost unconsciously. In Japanese train stations, movement isn't a personal choice. You have to stay on the right side, in the right lane, following the small arrows drawn on the floor. In Tokyo, people usually go left. In Osaka, they go right. And locals know this precisely without needing large signs or loudspeakers. To outsiders, these painted lines look simple, but in Japanese society, they are a traffic control system for people. Each arrow is designed to reduce collisions, prevent crowding, and maintain a steady pace of movement. When hundreds of thousands of people travel through the same corridor during rush hour, just one person going in the wrong lane is enough to create a chain reaction that slows down the entire flow. According to operational data from major railway companies in Japan, clearly defined lanes significantly reduce congestion and collisions during rush hour, especially at major transfer stations. This system is considered part of the infrastructure, like traffic lights, but applied directly to human behavior. Remarkably, it doesn't require police or staff constantly monitoring. Order is maintained through social pressure. Japanese people grow up habitually looking down at the floor, automatically adjusting their steps so as not to obstruct others. It's not a rule read aloud, but a reflex formed from childhood. If you go against the flow, you won't be pulled out or fined, but you will feel like an obstacle in a system designed to operate smoothly. In a society where harmony is prioritized over individualism, taking the wrong side is not merely inconvenient. It is interpreted as disrupting the common order for one's own benefit. Number 5. Why tattoos are prohibited in onsens. In Japan, tattoos are not just a personal choice. In many public spaces, they are still seen as a sign of the underworld. And onsen, the popular public hot springs, are where this is most evident. For Western tourists, onsen symbolize rest and relaxation. You shed your clothes, step into the hot water, and share the quiet space with strangers. But if you have tattoos, that experience can end right at the door. Many onsens display signs prohibiting tattoos and have the right to refuse service without explanation. The reason doesn't stem from religion, but from socio-historical factors. For decades, tattoos in Japan were associated with the yakuza, organized crime groups. Large, intricate tattoos covering the back and arms were once seen as internal identification marks and a way of displaying defiance against society. Therefore, in the perception of many Japanese people, tattoos are not personal art, but rather warning signals. According to sociological studies on tattoos in Japan, the connection between tattoos and yakuza began to form strongly in the 20th century and has lasted through many generations, especially in the memories of middle-aged and older people. For this group, seeing tattoos in private spaces like public bathhouses can evoke a genuine sense of unease, not just vague prejudice. When an onsen refuses entry to someone with tattoos, they are not concluding that you are a criminal. but they are prioritizing a general sense of safety. Onsens are not ordinary swimming pools or tourist resorts. They are places where people are completely naked and vulnerable, both physically and psychologically. Many onsen owners say they maintain the tattoo ban not for personal reasons, but because of the reaction of regular customers, especially older people, who would not return if they felt uncomfortable. Today, some onsens have begun to relax the rules. Some allow small tattoos. Others require them to be covered with bandages, but many still maintain the old rules. Not because they hate foreigners or oppose modern culture, but because they don't want to disrupt a sense of security that has been deeply ingrained in Japanese society for generations. Number 6. Smoking in the wrong place will result in a fine. A tourist had just stepped out of a Tokyo train station, lit a cigarette, and walked less than 10 steps when a security officer stopped him. There was no argument or shouting, just a ticket, because here, smoking while walking on the street is considered a violation. In many major Japanese cities, smoking isn't completely banned, but it's very strictly restricted. You're only allowed to smoke in designated areas, usually small squares on the sidewalk with ashtrays and clear signs. Stepping outside of that area with a burning cigarette means you've crossed the line. For many foreigners, this is surprising. In many countries, smoking outdoors is considered a personal choice, but in Japan, public space is understood as shared property. A cigarette affects not only the smoker, but also everyone moving around. According to regulations from many local governments, such as Tokyo and Osaka, smoking bans on pedestrians are implemented to reduce the risk of accidents and burns from cigarette butts in crowded environments. Urban reports show that Japanese streets have a very high density of pedestrians, especially around train stations, where even a small mishap can cause injury. The reason is not just related to health. When people move so close together, a falling cigarette butt can touch someone's hair, clothing, or skin. In a society that prioritizes safety and order, this risk is considered unacceptable. Interestingly, while street spaces are strictly controlled, many bars, pubs, and even some restaurants still allow smoking inside. This is a very Japanese paradox. Private spaces can be flexible by agreement, but public spaces must be kept clean and pleasant for everyone. The fines for smoking in the wrong place in some districts can reach tens of thousands of yen, enough to create a strong deterrent effect. But for many, what's more frightening is the social reaction. The looks around you will make you understand that here, smoking in the wrong place is not only a violation of the law, but also an act of disrespect to the community. Number 7. Religious boundaries in Japan. In Japan, there are places where state law almost gives way to religious law. You can step off a bullet train, walk through streets covered in screens and billboards, and then, just minutes later, stand before an ancient wooden gate where modern order pauses and ancient rules begin to govern behavior. In many traditional temples and shrines, monks are not just practitioners of the faith, they are guardians of the sacred space. Touching them, especially during ceremonies, is considered defiling the ritual. In some Japanese Buddhist traditions, women are not allowed physical contact with monks, as such contact is seen as breaking the state of purity that the monks must maintain. According to the ceremonial rules publicly displayed at many large temples, the boundaries of contact are not personal, but are mandatory religious principles, applicable to all devotees and visitors. These rules have been passed down through centuries and remain in effect in sacred spaces to this day. Large temples are often divided into several areas with varying levels of access. There are areas off-limits to women. There are areas reserved only for monks. There are areas where photography or videography is completely prohibited. If a visitor inadvertently crosses that boundary, temple staff may ask them to leave immediately. In some documented cases at crowded ancient temples, local police have been called when visitors fail to comply with the request, as this behavior is considered an insult to the religious space, not simply a violation of visitor regulations. For foreigners, this is often shocking. In many Western countries, religion is seen as a personal choice and rarely imposed on public spaces. But in Japan, temples and shrines are part of the social order. They are not just tourist destinations, but territories with their own rules, respected almost absolutely by society. What makes this situation sensitive is that you don't need to have bad intentions to get into trouble. A single step over the line, a friendly gesture like a pat on the shoulder, or even a mistaken photograph taken during a ceremony can be considered a violation. In that space, personal intentions are less important than whether you adhere to the rules that have existed for hundreds of years. Number 8. Being noisy is seen as selfish. A train carriage during rush hour in Japan. People stand so close together that there's almost no space, yet the atmosphere is strangely quiet. No loud conversations, no phone calls. Only the sound of the train wheels rolling smoothly on the tracks and the blue light from dozens of mobile phones. To foreigners, this scene is often unsettling. In many large cities around the world, trains are filled with the sounds of life. But in Japanese public spaces, the silence isn't accidental. It's a strictly observed social rule. Talking loudly on the train, in shops, or on narrow streets is considered disrespectful. You don't need to offend or argue with anyone. Simply breaking the general silence is enough to earn disapproving looks or a reprimand. Here, space isn't just physical. It's a spiritual space where everyone coexists. According to Japanese railway companies' public conduct guidelines, noisy behavior is considered meiwaku, meaning disturbing others, a concept strongly avoided in Japanese society. On many train lines, notices requesting passengers to turn off their phone ringtones and avoid loud conversations are placed alongside safety regulations. Japanese culture prioritizes collective harmony over individual expression. When you speak loudly, laugh loudly, or make phone calls on the train, you are occupying a shared space without consent. Even without malicious intent, such actions are considered selfish. Therefore, many Japanese people will step out of the train car or onto the platform to answer calls if the call is truly urgent. The silence doesn't stem from fear of punishment, but from a habit of respecting the feelings of those around them. For tourists, this is often the first shock upon arriving in Japan. A loud laugh or a lively conversation might cause the entire train carriage to turn and stare at you. Not out of hostility, but because you've just broken an unspoken agreement where silence is considered the foundation of social order. Number 9. Eating on the street is considered impolite. In Japan, you can buy food almost everywhere. Convenience stores are on every street corner, vending machines line train stations, and food stalls are ubiquitous in shopping malls. But what's quite unusual for tourists is that you rarely see anyone eating while walking on the street. Eating while on the move is considered disrespectful to public space. There's no official law prohibiting taking a bite of a pastry on the sidewalk. But in Japanese society, not every order requires police intervention. Social pressure and the watchful eyes of others are enough to make people self-regulate their behavior. The reason isn't just about politeness. Streets in large cities are often narrow and crowded. Food can fall, grease can get on other people's clothes, and the smell of food easily spreads in enclosed spaces. When thousands of people pass through the same narrow street every hour, these seemingly small details become real risks. In Japan's urban planning, sidewalks and walkways are considered continuous traffic spaces, not places to stop arbitrarily. Eating while walking is seen as similar to stopping a car in the middle of a lane. While it may not cause an immediate accident, it disrupts the overall flow of traffic. Therefore, Japanese people often stand still to eat, in front of shops, next to vending machines, or they take food home. Even in busy food districts, you'll see many people standing silently to finish their meal before continuing on their way. Many shops in Japan proactively design standing areas in front of their stalls not to encourage quick eating, but to prevent customers from eating while walking into the moving crowd. This helps maintain an uninterrupted flow of pedestrian traffic. In a country where human traffic is organized almost like vehicular traffic, each individual is expected to maintain their own pace and space. A person eating while walking not only risks soiling the street, but also slows down and disrupts the flow of traffic behind them. Therefore, this behavior doesn't need a clear ban. It's eliminated by a system of self-discipline and social pressure. In Japan, order isn't just about signs, it's also about how you hold a pastry and whether you decide to stand still or keep walking. Number 10. Fragrance is also controlled. In Japan, scent isn't just a personal choice. In enclosed spaces like trains, elevators, or offices, an overly strong perfume can become something everyone in the space has to endure. The Japanese have a specific term for this phenomenon. They call it odor harassment, referring to body odor, perfume, or personal product smells that are so strong they invade other people's spaces. This concept is grouped with noise and unwanted stares as a form of non-contact intrusion. In Japanese workplace guidelines, odor harassment is mentioned as a health and psychological risk, similar to prolonged noise. Many large companies require employees to avoid strong perfumes because they can cause headaches, nausea, or allergic reactions in colleagues. Therefore, in many companies, schools, and especially hospitals, the use of strong perfumes is discouraged and sometimes completely banned. Internal regulations often require the use of only unscented or very lightly scented products to minimize the impact on others. This becomes especially important in a high-density society. A train carriage during rush hour can carry hundreds of people in a confined space. A strong perfume scent can spread throughout the compartment in just minutes, and there's no way to avoid it except to endure it. Unlike many Western countries, where scent is seen as a tool for expressing individuality and style, Japanese society prioritizes neutrality. Unscented is considered the safest option because it doesn't force others to perceive something they didn't choose. Instead of enacting laws, Japanese society maintains this rule through collective reaction. Someone perceived as having an overly strong scent might see colleagues move further away, or passengers around them switch seats on the train. These silent signals are enough for everyone to adjust their behavior without the need for police intervention or fines. Number 11. Tip. Cannot purchase Japanese services. There's an action many tourists believe is a sign of politeness, but in Japan, it can offend service staff. Tipping. In many restaurants, hotels, and cafes, if you leave a few bills on the table, the staff will likely rush to return them. It's not that they don't need the money, but in Japanese culture, tipping carries an undesirable message. In Japan, service quality isn't something that can be bought. Service staff are expected to do their job well from the start. When you tip, it can be interpreted as implying that standard service isn't enough and needs to be compensated. For many, this damages professionalism and professional self-respect. According to Japanese service culture guidelines, the concept of omotenashi emphasizes dedicated service without expecting personal reward. Good service is considered the norm, not something to be encouraged with money. The Japanese wage system clearly reflects this philosophy. Restaurant, hotel, and taxi employees receive a fixed salary. Prices already include service charges. There is no room for bargaining or additional tips. People work not for the hope of receiving extra money, but for the responsibility and honor associated with their work. This difference is often shocking to Western tourists, where tipping is a significant part of income. In Japan, giving tips doesn't guarantee better treatment. It only creates awkwardness for both parties. Many cases have been recorded where staff chase customers to the door or down the street to return the money, as keeping it is seen as disrupting order and equality in the service relationship. In a society that values order and equality among people, no one wants to be placed in a position where they have to receive money as a favor. And sometimes, what is considered polite in the place you visit may be something to avoid in Japan. Number 12. When emotions matter more than right and wrong. In Japan, an apology doesn't always mean I've done something wrong. In many cases, it simply means I didn't want the situation to become unpleasant. Japanese people often apologize even when they weren't the direct cause. A train employee will bow an apology when the train is delayed by a storm. A shopkeeper will apologize when the item you need is out of stock. A person passing you in a crowded aisle will also apologize, even if neither of you did it intentionally. Here, an apology isn't an admission of guilt. It's a tool to keep the social space from becoming tense. When saying sorry, the Japanese are taking responsibility for the other person's feelings, not for the cause of the problem. In Japanese communication culture, apologies are often used as a conciliatory signal, aiming to prevent conflict from escalating before it even begins. Japanese business communication guidelines emphasize that apologizing promptly helps to de-escalate emotions, thereby facilitating smoother problem-solving. This is clearly evident in the workplace. Employees are taught to apologize before offering any explanation. Even if the incident was caused by a supplier, weather, or other external factors, an apology is paramount. The focus isn't on identifying who is responsible, but on ensuring the other party doesn't feel abandoned or disrespected. For Westerners, this can be confusing. In many countries, apologizing often equates to admitting fault and may entail legal consequences. In Japan, however, failing to apologize is considered dangerous, as it disrupts the emotional balance in social relationships. This approach to apologies helps Japanese society function smoothly in crowded, high-pressure environments. But it also creates a psychological burden. Many people feel compelled to apologize constantly, even when they have done nothing wrong, just to keep the overall atmosphere from breaking down. Number 13. The most tightly controlled country in the world. China is still considered the most tightly controlled country on the planet, where the internet, culture, and even personal lives are subject to strict regulation, You can't access familiar platforms like Google, Facebook, or YouTube. Even TikTok, a global icon created by China, is blocked within its own country, and people are only allowed to use the domestic version called Douyin, which is designed with a completely different censorship system and algorithm. The government wants to maintain absolute control over the flow of information while protecting its digital firewall from foreign influence. In return, China has developed its own entire ecosystem. WeChat has become the social networking hub, Baidu handles information retrieval, Youku and IQIYI provide entertainment, and DeepSeek is seen as the answer to ChatGPT. This structure transforms the Chinese internet into an independent digital planet, where every service bears a domestic imprint. Experts call this the Great Firewall, the world's largest network of firewalls, serving as both a barrier and a tool for national data management. This control extends to the lives of the population. For decades, the one-child policy was considered a pillar of Chinese society. After being relaxed to 2 children, families with a 3rd child still face penalties and even negative marks on their citizen records. Ironically, while the country achieved its goal of curbing population growth, it found itself in the opposite situation: a rapidly aging population and a record-low birth rate. Therefore, the government implemented a series of measures to reverse the old policy, such as offering bonuses to mothers, providing low-interest home loans, and encouraging men to take paternity leave, something unprecedented before. Furthermore, the entertainment industry is also under scrutiny. China only allows about 34 foreign films to be screened each year, and Hollywood productions are subject to mandatory censorship. Furthermore, sensitive details regarding human rights, religion, or politics are removed. Even films with time travel elements or those with anti-socialist ideology are completely excluded. Domestic cultural products must ensure the spread of Chinese values and reflect social morality and national spirit. Finally, public surveillance is the clearest symbol of China's governance philosophy. With over 500 million security cameras, the country possesses the world's largest surveillance system, supported by facial recognition technology and artificial intelligence. In the West, this might be seen as a violation of privacy, but in China, many believe it to be the eyes-protecting society, where each camera not only records but also represents a belief in order and safety. Number 14. Actions you shouldn't do. In Japan, communication isn't just about words. Your body is also speaking, and even a small movement can be interpreted as disrespectful if taken out of context. In many Western cultures, pointing is normal. But in Japan, pointing your index finger at someone is considered rude and confrontational. Instead, Japanese people often use an open hand, slightly gesturing towards the person, or simply nod to avoid creating an accusatory impression. Feet are even more sensitive. In Japan, feet are considered the lowest and least clean part of the body, as they are in direct contact with the ground. When you sit with your legs extended towards someone, especially an elder, superior, or monk, it's interpreted as an insult. It's like facing an unclean part of your body toward the other person. This is most evident in tatami-covered rooms, where people sit directly on the floor. The way you position your feet, the direction of your knees, and your sitting posture all carry social significance. Sitting incorrectly isn't punishable, but it can make others feel you don't value the relationship you have. In Japanese education, children are taught very early on how to sit in seiza, how to position their hands, and how to bow at the correct angle as part of learning to respect others. These habits are repeated through school, family, and social rituals, becoming reflexes rather than consciously thought-out rules. For foreigners, this is a typical cultural trap. An unconscious gesture like stretching your legs while sitting or pointing while explaining can create a tense atmosphere. No one will yell at you, but you will sense the silence and distance that arises as a signal that you have just crossed an invisible line of respect. Number 15. The most unforgivable thing in Japan. In many Western societies, speaking frankly, correcting mistakes directly, or debating in front of others is normal. But in Japan, such actions can damage relationships. When you criticize someone in front of others, you're not just pointing out a minor mistake, you're damaging their social standing. The Japanese call this feeling haji, meaning shame. When someone loses face, they don't just feel embarrassed, they feel they've lost respect within the group. And in a society that prioritizes harmony over individualism, that's a very serious loss. Therefore, direct criticism is rare. In the workplace, superiors usually give feedback privately rather than publicly. In families, arguments in front of outsiders are avoided as much as possible. In society, direct refusals are often replaced with indirect responses to minimize conflict. This leaves many foreigners confused. They perceive a lack of clarity, but for the Japanese, that ambiguity is a layer of shared honor protection. No one is forced to be publicly humiliated. Therefore, many social rules in Japan are not aimed at controlling people, but at avoiding situations that would cause someone to lose face. From how to remain silent in public to how to apologize or refuse, everything is geared towards maintaining a stable social facade. In Japan, making mistakes is acceptable, but publicly shaming someone else is very difficult to overlook. We've just explored 15 hidden taboos in Japanese society. If you found these surprising, please like to support the channel. Share this video so more people can learn about the world behind Japan's seemingly orderly facade. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to continue exploring these little talked about hidden aspects with us. Leave a comment and let us know which taboo surprised you the most.